Throughout the country, 2,700 people roughly sleep on the streets every night. This is an increase of 14% in the last year and an increase of over 1,000 people in the last 5 years. Despite being one of the most affluent areas in the UK, Bournemouth and Dorset as a whole have a huge underlying issue with homelessness. What you've just witnessed is a small segment of my night that I spent on the streets of Bournemouth. For this documentary, I spent a night on the streets of Bournemouth to highlight the everyday predicaments of the homeless community. To do so, I went out on the streets with no phone, money, food or water and survived purely on what I acquired from passers-by. But first, I investigated the most popular homeless hotspots in the town centre. Not one that maybe you'd automatically think of, but it does offer protection, warmth, I mean it's not too windy down here, and safety, because in the middle of the town at night when people are drunk and you're sitting there with not many possessions, you're going to be a target, especially if you're trying to get some Zeds. We came down here to try and see if this would be an area that people would come down, and as you can clearly see, someone's left some of their possessions from last night, perhaps maybe from one of the nights before, and perhaps something that you didn't expect to find down there. One of them. Class A drugs, alcohol, and pretty much no way for any normal human being to live. But what I think is perhaps most staggering is walking above us, 5 metres, are tourists, are everyday people, are civilians, and to them, this place doesn't exist. Over the course of the next couple of days, I'm going to show you that it really does exist, and it's alive and well in Bournemouth. Right, so it is 7:27 on the night before I go out. Starting to feel a bit apprehensive now, because in 24 hours time, not 12 hours, in 24 hours time, I will be out in the streets. I'll have been out there for half an hour. Don't really know how to feel about it. Like, the preparation hasn't been too extensive. It's not been too much research based. Obviously we've gone and scoured out the town and stuff, but like, starting to think I might be not taking this, not that I'm not taking this as seriously as I should be, but maybe not thinking about some risks that might actually be there that I might just stumble upon tomorrow night. But I guess we'll see. I think the worst thing that could be going on is obviously getting robbed, getting mugged, getting assaulted. You do hear the stories about people who are homeless and how risky it is to stay in the streets. I mean, these people who do get assaulted and stuff, they've probably been out there for years and slept, hundreds of nights without this happening to them. But I'm a new face. They don't recognise me. They probably all have their friendships. And I'm just a random guy who's going to be sleeping on the street and not knowing perhaps where to avoid. So I think it's a case of going into the unknown. And the time finally came for me to spend my night out on the streets. The time at this point was 7 PM and I planned to stay out exposed to the elements of the night until 7 the next morning. At this point, a whole range of emotions were circling my head, none more so than the fear of the unknown and a feeling of isolation. The first stop of the night was a graffiti-riddled pocket of one of Bournemouth's many back streets. Right, so we've just made it into Bournemouth. It's now about 7:30 at night. It's actually quite a warm night. There's not a huge amount of cloud cover. It's quite dry on feet. Got plenty of layers on. 3 trousers, 2 jumpers, t-shirt, coat, gloves, hat, hoodie. Lovely. We're just going to walk down into town now, see if we can find anyone who's already on the streets. We were approached by one homeless lady who told us of the everyday struggles of her life.
Where are you going to sleep? Let me tell you, right? Get some shelter, get in the back of Lidl car park, there's stairwells, or go to the Bic. You can sleep in the Bic, but security will move you on in the morning. Don't leave your bedding outside, put it in a blanket and hide it in bushes, because the council come along, any of your clothes or bedding they find, they take and throw away and leave you without bedding for the night, so hide it. Yeah, so the bedding you do get together, you then go and hide, because you can't possibly carry it about all day, and then you go back to get it and the council have taken it. All the bags have been ripped open and they're soaking wet, so you've got nothing to sleep in. So good luck, honey, and be careful who you associate with.
Yeah,
I've had everything stolen while I sleep.
I'm probably going to try and keep myself to myself, definitely. She's not filled me with a huge amount of optimism about the sleeping conditions out here, telling me to be careful because your stuff gets stolen and all of that. Looks like I'm going to be sleeping with everything, well, not that I have much on me, but it looks like I'm going to be sleeping with my possessions firmly on my side, and I'm not going to let anyone know if I have anything, what I have. So we're here at Bournemouth train station. We just quickly hot-footed it here. It's getting later, and there's music playing. over the tannoys, basically to stop homeless people sleeping. We were under the assumption that it was bagpipe music. Obviously they've changed up their repertoire slightly, and now it's, well, whatever you'd call that. I mean, either way, you're not going to be getting... I want to speak to the person in charge who thought that's a good idea, because that's weird in anyone's book. At 2 in the morning, I decided to beg for some money. I thought this would be the perfect time as students started pouring out of various nightclubs. I spent around half an hour begging before deciding to leave, as a group of men were acting very suspiciously, hanging around where I was sat and whispering to each other. I wasn't sure whether they were going to rob or even attack me, so I decided to get out of there and try and get some sleep. Right, so it's about 5:45, I think. I've given it a good go sleeping on there, but I think we're going to end it there. I've slept on literally nothing quite as uncomfortable as that before. My back is entirely messed up, out of all proportion. I probably got about 20 minutes sleep then, so I think there's no point waiting around any longer. I think we've all replicated what a night in the life of a homeless person's like. Right, so it is the morning or afternoon after the night before. I've had a shower, I've had a shave, and I've eaten. Still feeling a bit drowsy, but my night on the streets is done. I've done it all, and honestly it was harder than I ever imagined it would be. And I've really had my eyes opened to this world that I never thought I would do. So I'm grateful for the experience, and you hope that the work that the charities do, that the community does, supports them and gets them through it. Speaking of charity, we have set up a Just Giving page. The link we're going to put here, so hopefully in the edit the link will now be there. And if you can donate anything, if you can have any spare change, it would be greatly appreciated. It will go to a fantastic cause, and it will go to help these vulnerable people in trying to get their lives back on track.